Hello everybody, it's Track King Racing again, coming with another update video on the 3UZ IS300 swap, as well as a little bit more detailed, in-depth view of why the 3UZ, why the swap, why sticking with the transmission that I'm sticking with, and highlighting the difference between the 3UZ, 2JZ, and the 1UZ. Let's get that off there. I don't need to hear from you that I know that my garage is dirty. My garage is dirty. There is stuff absolutely everywhere. I've got all the fluids for the swap down there. I've got some of my relevant, most recent notes here. All the tools that I've been using in abundance, even though my toolbox is right there. For some reason, they're building up right here, but my toolbox is right there. But I'm too lazy? I don't know. Must be something. But anyway, there's all my tools, some current projects that I'm working on, and I'll kind of bring you up to speed on where we are on this swap. Even though it looks like complete chaos in here, I'm actually closer along than it may seem. So, first, super quick update, what's been done, what's going on. As far as the inside of the engine bay goes, I have reloomed every single one of the looms in this vibrant mesh loom. There's lots of different types of looms, lots of different ways to kind of rewire everything, and, you know, at the same time, I'm going to clean up these edges and kind of make sure that all this stuff stays where it needs to. But I did literally unwrap all of the plastic loom. I'll throw up a photo. I know I took one somewhere. I'll try to find it. Just were a pile of plastic. Loom was down here, but I really hate that accordion loom stuff that comes in all OEM cars. I really like this stuff. It's nicer to the touch. It looks better visibly, and also when you need to re-access these wires, if you're going to wire anything in the future or change things, you can get right back in there and you can wire it up. So that's very cool. You know, there's definitely different brands of that stuff out there now. I utilize Vibrant. They're not a sponsor for anything that I do. They're probably maybe a little bit more costly than the other stuff, but I know that it's good stuff and it'll hold up to the heat. That's one thing that you do want to make sure of. If you're going to use this stuff in the engine bay, there's some really cheap crap that you can get out there on Amazon that's made for your computer cords and stuff like that. It's definitely not going to withstand the heat inside the engine bay. So again, everything's been completely reloomed in that mesh loom. You know, I've already got the battery wire to the back, so these are my terminals for that. A few other things, you know, has been the goal for this engine is to make it easy to pull in and pull out. And most people would say, well, why in the heck do you want to do that with a daily driver? Well, you know, for me, nothing's really just a daily driver. You know, as you can see, I have to go a little above and beyond, a little crazy with things. So with that in mind, my intentions are to pull this motor back out and continue to build it in the future, or maybe even build another motor on the side. And then, you know, possibly switch it in and out since I have so many spare parts for these UZ motors now. But, so as you can see, I've reinstalled a firewall. This stuff is from Pegasus Auto Racing. There are Pegasus Auto Supplies. They're amazing. They've always hooked me up with a small discount just because they're nice people, not because of any promise of anything great or anything like that. I've been utilizing them for a long time now, and if you don't have a local auto parts supplier, because I do suggest that you support local, then Pegasus is an awesome place to be able to get all that stuff that you would usually get at that really cool local shop. We've got a local shop, Bradley's Automotive, but unfortunately they've been closed down since the pandemic, so I've had to kind of resource outside means. So anyway, got this stuff from them. Looks really quite durable. It was easy to apply. You want to make sure to clean the surface quite heavily, obviously, and then, you know, pre-cut all of your holes and be smart. You know, this stuff isn't perfectly level. Not everything is going to lay out perfectly. You see that there's going to be some wrinkles, and I've got my heat gun down here. I plan on hitting it with some more heat, smoothing everything out as I go. There's a small potential that I may add more of that to more areas. I'm still kind of figuring that out. Some other things that's been done here, if you're going to keep the cable throttle and you're running 3UZ, now keep in mind I'm running a 3UZ engine, and I know this is complicated, but with all like 1UZ sensors, throttle body, ECU, stuff like that, because I'm trying to keep my E-shift. Not trying, I will. So this right here is a cable throttle cable that is off of a LS400, I believe, GS400, something like that. That's going to fit perfectly for the 3UZ engine, and I'll be using a 1UZ throttle body, which I'll show you here in just a second. So that's already been installed. You know, I was going to go drive-by-wire, but I wasn't going to be able to keep the E-shift, so that was annoying. Most of the small little things like the alarm, that guy, some other random stuff. I don't know what else is down here. Yeah, that guy. All of those I've extended or ran through the harness a different way to kind of get it out of the way. I mean, I'm not going to be able to have a completely seamless engine bay or anything, but I'm really trying to reduce the amount of crap that's just hanging out around these areas. So a lot of that stuff's been extended, so that way I can kind of hide it, bring it out of the way. All a part of the re-looming process and all that fun stuff. Not to mention that the previous owner has had some really horrible wiring things that they've done. This car's obviously been in a wreck. Maybe it severed some wire. So I'm using these bad boys, which, you know, this is just a little extra secret right here. I mean, you can get these things cheap off of Amazon. So this is just some random foreign brand. But anyway, if you're not keen to these yet, these things are killer, right? All you do is you slip your wires in between there after you have them tied together, heat this bad boy up, and it solders them, has waterproof connection, and then also heat shrinks them at the same time. This stuff is a lifesaver. If you haven't used this stuff, you really need to get onto it for wiring. It's extremely helpful. You don't have to crimp things anymore. And the really good connections, even the cheaper ones that I bought off of Amazon, seem to do extremely well. All different sizes, all that good stuff. But anyway, a lot of that you can't see because it's obviously inside of these looms. So, what else? Let's see, what else has been done? Oh, well, we've got a Chase Bays reservoir here. This is for the power steering. And I've got this power steering line that I got from Suspicious Garage, which I've gotten a few things from them because they do a lot of 1J, 2J stuff, which happens to work for the UZs. Again, power steering lines are completely converted there to AN fittings, as well as pretty much absolutely everything is. I mean, really, the water lines here are really the only things that weren't converted to AN fittings that are, you know, substantial. So I've still got some more stuff to work on there, but there's some more fittings. As far as the power steering goes, let's see, here's the pump. Again, AN fittings. This was just a standard fitting that already came on it. Had it welded next door at Vic's Auto Body. Does all my welding. All the welded stuff or welded AN fittings, anything like that that you see in my videos, all comes from Vic's Auto Body Garage, which is really next door. In fact, there, right over there. Hey, Vic. No, that's not Vic. No, that's not Vic. Right there. That's Vic. Right there. He's a great guy. Great guy, does work on all sorts of things, but has taken a special interest in my projects and helps me out, which is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, he does an amazing job. Even did some zinc coating on there, which is phenomenal. So, that's some more stuff. Let's see, what else do I got going on here? Oh, it's right by me. So, here are the all the lines for the ABS run into this ABS block, and usually the ABS block is over here. You'll actually notice that this is the battery tray. I have converted the battery tray into having battery prongs, which now allow me to run all my grounds and power to that corner over there, which is where the battery went. I'm going to step in here. And now, this bad boy will go over there in that corner. Kind of hard to see right now because there's a bunch of crap shoved in there. But, so that's where all my battery connections will connect, and then also where the all of the ABS lines will go into as well. So it's a nice little thing. I mean, I just used the factory bracket. Look right there. Nothing too complex. Factory bracket, right? Just drilled into the battery tray, and then I kind of sliced up the battery tray as per needed, and then again added my connections there. Pretty simple stuff. So it doesn't have to be complex. You know, I don't expect this to like win shows or anything, but hella nicer than I've seen some of the setups that people pay a lot of money for. So there's that. The lines. Boom. Right here. Finishing lines. You know, honestly, I was one of those people where I was like, there is no way I'm paying the amount of money that needs to be paid for this kit. I'll just modify the stock hard lines and make it work, which I've seen plenty of people do. Looks great, whatever. And then I just bought the lines. These lines are great. Finishing Lines it seems like a great company. They make a great product. This is just going to clean it up even more. And now that I've done all the other work that I've done to all the other lines in the car, it makes a lot of sense that I ponied up and got nice stuff for these two. So, good company, shipped really quick, really, really nice stuff. So, let's see. What else? Oh! Now look, there's already videos about this online, so I know a lot of people are going to be like, look, how'd you do it? Tell us how you did it, and all that good stuff. But, as you can see here, I did modify and install an IS300 steering wheel with the wonderful paddle shifters. Now, it's been a big topic about this build is me keeping the E-shift, even though I'm using a SC430, the 3UZ motor that doesn't have the E-shift. So, to do so, right, I've had to do a lot of modifications. One of those that I didn't have to do, but I wanted to do, was bringing in better paddle shifters versus those buttons that come in the IS300. Some people like buttons, some people don't. I like these paddle shifters here, so I ended up wiring this in. It's a fairly simple process, and look, I'm not a huge wiring genius. I use those connectors that I showed you earlier. You got to make sure that you switch out this little inside guy right here, and you switch out the little connector right there, and you wire everything in. There's like 3 or 4 videos on YouTube that describe this in great lengths, and that's what I used to do mine. So, you know, there's no sense in filming something that someone else has already done and they did a great job of. If I can find the video again, which I'm sure I can, then I'll link to it in this video so that way you have it. But honestly, go support those people and watch their videos, as they were perfect for me to be able to switch this out. Worked out really well. So... Alright, suspension. Yay, suspension. Okay, well, back to brakes. One, I have converted all of the hard lines over to steel braided lines. Those I picked up at Figs. Figs has pretty much everything for IS300s. It's awesome. They're also a great company. They respond quickly, have great prices on things. And no, again, not sponsored by them. Just they seem to have their stuff together. So I order a lot of stuff from them, so makes sense. But anyway, as far as suspension stuff goes, I'm completely replacing all of the arms, all the bushings with Figs OEM stuff. And again, this isn't going to be a race car, so there's no need to get their higher end stuff, even though it looks absolutely phenomenal. It's just not worth it budget-wise for the build to do. So I'm going to replace all of these arms, and all the bushings come with it. Figs has this beautiful stuff right here, right? Not to be confused with these $250 coilovers that, again, the previous owner had kind of damned this car with. We're going to be replacing those with BC coilovers, which are on their way now. Super excited about that. I think BC is going to be perfect. Eventually, I plan on putting some air cuffs or maybe air suspension on it too. But luckily, BC seems to be a very common brand of coilover enough to facilitate those things. So, yeah. Let's see. I can't think of too much else. Wow, look at that. I just noticed that that sucker's blown out. How funny that I would notice that on video. Anyway, now I need to replace that thing too. What else? I think that's kind of the updated gist of it. I mean, I did also have the ECU sent off to get reprogrammed, because remember, again, I'm using the 1UZ ECU along with 1UZ electronics to utilize the E-shift. So that's going down too. I guess without further ado, it's time to show off the engine a little bit. And then get into maybe the reason why most of you all are here, which is kind of some 2JZ versus 3UZ kind of information. But let's take a quick peek at this motor. Are you ready for it? The sun might mess it up a little bit, as I am in the sun. Well, the garage door is not going to help much either, but there you go. Sun's going down and everything's going to look perfect. Nice. So, custom intake, had it welded up. Drift Motion has these nice little pipes that already have the MAF for the 1UZ on there. This is a Skunk 2 intake. It's one of those huge intakes that adapts to one of those Venturi style filter setups. You know, who knows if that works or not, but I definitely like it. Got plenty of room for it. So this is the 3UZ in all of its glory. Just recently got a whole bunch of parts back from Best Damn Powder Coating here in Indian Trail. They did an amazing job with the coating. I mean, gosh, if I had the ability to, like, you know, do some really cool camera roll footage here of this, you know, kind of like I'm doing right now, but, you know, way cooler, it would look even better. But looks amazing. It's kind of like a middle ground between bronze and gold as far as I'm concerned. It's Frosty Bronze was the name. Fantastic there. Again, you'll see the 1UZ throttle body. I did wrinkle black. Yeah, that's right. Did that myself. HD clamps. You know, not that this thing is going to see boost, but I'm just trying to make it as, I don't know, as professional as I can, learning some lessons from the MR2. Look at that. AN bungs, right? For the radiator, and not to mention the fact that, whoosh, Mishimoto radiator right here with the AN bungs already welded again, all again from Vic's Auto Body next door. OBX headers, they're getting modified. V-bands are getting added. I think we've talked about that before. Painted the oil pan. This guy right here, that's just a nice little spacer to help us gain a little bit extra clearance for the headers. That along with using a GS400 power steering rack, which we'll go into some details about that in the future too. But so yeah, I mean, the engine's basically ready to go. All new gaskets, all new O-rings, all new seals, all new spark plugs. I mean, everything you can get for it. And remember, this engine I scored from Yoda Car Parts. Eric at Yoda Car Parts is definitely a fantastic guy. I believe they're out of California. But has tons and tons of engines and Toyota, car parts, cars, anything that you could want Toyota related used, ships all over the United States. Absolutely great to work with. And definitely, this was an amazing score. I think it had like 100,000 miles on it. And really, I didn't need to rebuild it at all, but I did. I did rebuild it all just because I knew that I was going to take things off to have it powder coated, and then I wanted to kind of switch things out. Again, you know, 1UZ valve cover instead of the 3UZ valve cover with a really tall neck. Since I have a 1UZ, I was able to kind of switch over the things that I really needed to use, and then some things that I wanted to use too. Again, a little bit of wrinkle coat black there. I tried to do my best to try to make this powder coat kind of do it justice, right? But so all right, there's where I'm at. There's the update. There's the build where it sits. I'm ready to get this bad boy into this bad boy and really have everything that I need to do so. Some of the last little bits to do are the engine wiring harness, which I'm having done locally from Soho. Get the transmission finished and set up. Here's the transmission over here. So this is the A650E. I'm going to do a very specific video just on the transmission setup because there's a lot going into make the V8 A650E made up into the IS300. But here's where all that stands. I'll be getting up with Joe at TTS Transmissions, another local guy that's helping me out. He's absolutely amazing. Does all the transmission work on the MR2, and if you've seen my post about it, you know that that's getting a fully built transmission super soon, and that's all thanks to TTS Transmissions here local in Indian Trail. I mean, he's an absolute saint. Does all my transmission stuff. I can't wait for him to get his hands on this, even though I was kind of trying to do it myself, as you can tell, but Joe's going to make it right. Joe's going to help me out and get all that settled, and soon we'll be picking up the transmission for that completely built out and ready to do some work. So, all right, final parts of this video, and I promise I didn't clickbait you. I didn't really mean to leave this until the end. But let's talk. You hear that? That's all day long here. Everybody speeds past this place. But anyway, so let's get to the beef of it. 1UZ versus 3UZ versus 2JZ versus 2JZ GTE, right? Goodness. What are we looking at power-wise, weight-wise, and even mile per gallon, because why not, right? All right, so let's start off with the 1UZ, right? 1UZ is around 450 pounds, which, you know, is going to be right where the 3UZ is, meaning the 3UZ is just slightly lighter at 445 pounds. And also you have to understand that, you know, most of this information, well, all this information is off the internet, but if you know anything about the internet, you can research one thing and get 15 different results. So, you know, don't hold me to this stuff pound for pound, horsepower to horsepower. I'm trying to give you a rough estimate and give you kind of like a guideline to why I made the choice that I did, and then why other people make the choices they do. Because I hear a lot of people just being like, why didn't you LS? Or why not keep the 2JZ? Blah, blah, blah. Right? So, again, weight figures, okay? The lightest one is going to be the 3UZ at 445 pounds. The heavier one, 450 pounds with the 1UZ, and that's just because it's smaller bore. Then we've got the 2JZ, obviously, is going to be next at 507 pounds, which, I mean, that's a huge increase. That's about 62 pounds more than the 3UZ, right? So that's pretty substantial. And then you've got the 2JZ GTE, right, with all the turbos, all the lovely goodness at 594 pounds. That's huge. So to basically get the same power output that this beautiful engine is putting into it at stock form against the 2JZ GTE, which granted would have a little bit more horsepower in stock form, pretty easy to tune as well, is going to seriously be roughly 140 more pounds. I mean, that's substantial. If you know power to weight, you know that that's definitely a substantial amount of weight. And I should have done power to weight with all of these with the IS300. That would be some cool information. But sorry, slacked on that. I mean, look, I'm pretty low key when it comes to my my information here, right? I'm working off of back of an envelope that I've written on with Sharpie, so bear with me. As far as horsepower stats go, best version of the 1UZ is going to be 300 horsepower. By best version, I mean the newest version of the 3UZ. You're talking about 304 horsepower. And again, I've seen these stats go all over the place. I saw the 1UZ newest version be as low as 290. And the 3UZ version be as high as 315 horsepower. I don't know what to believe there. Again, when you talk about the 2JZ in its stock form, you're only talking about 220 horsepower. So the 3UZ is an instant 80 horsepower upgrade, much like the turbo 2JZ GTE would be, which means you're typically looking at around 320 horsepower for a turbocharged 2JZ at base. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, blah, 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 blah. You could do way more than that on a turbocharged 2JZ engine. And I get that. But mind you, if we put a turbo or a supercharger on that thing over there, it's also capable of way more than 300 horsepower too. So we're you know, you got to have some sort of scale and talk within those means. So we're really just talking about a base engine at that point. So again, 300, 305, 220, turbocharged version around 320. Torque, I mean, torque's obviously going to be kind of in the same suit here, meaning 310 for our 1JZ. The 3UZ is going to be around 325, which makes sense. And then again, about 210 torque for the 2JZ, and then about 315 torque for the 2JZ GT. So, you know, our comparison between the 3UZ and even the 2JZ GTE is pretty substantial as far as power to weight is concerned. And the great news that we're going to go back to later on is that both of them are all Toyota engines, Toyota reliability, VVTi, all that good stuff. So it's not like this 2JZ motor is that much more technically advanced than this 1UZ motor. Newer 1UZ motor, and definitely 3UZ motor, right? Now, older 1UZ motors, yeah, okay. Well, there's definitely some huge differences there technology-wise. But As far as newer motors goes, you're talking VVTi, you're talking about the same technology, same company. So, big stuff there. All right, as far as mile per gallon, as if that matters for most of you, the 1UZ is getting at about 17, 3UZ with some newer technology, right, is looking at about 18. The 2JZ 29, 2JZ GTE 18. And those numbers were all over the freaking map, so I don't know what to trust there. But I can definitely tell you that, obviously a non-turbo, non-V8 inline six should get better gas mileage of the same technology, year, and company. So kudos to the 2JZ for that. As we all know, that's really in how you drive it and your intentions with the build. So there, information you can find all over the place. There's actually a few good videos online all about the 1UZ, all about the 3UZ. Maybe not comparisons directly to a 2JZ, but at least it gives you the information to utilize to figure it all out, right? So I guess the big thing is, why am I putting this motor in here and not keeping that motor in there and turbocharging it? Or why not put an LS, right? Okay, all right. So here's my big list, right? My choice all summed up in the fact that, one, it's an OEM-esque swap. This is a Lexus car. That is a Lexus motor. I like that. I know that might not be unique for most, but I think it's actually unique within the situation. Because again, most people would do an LS, or most people would do a 2JZ. So even though the 3UZ is in the motor family, I don't think that excludes it from being a unique swap. I think it is still a unique swap. So next one, it's a Toyota motor. Meaning over an LS, I am always going to choose this beautiful hunk of aluminum over some LS motor. And I know a lot of people will be like, blah, blah, blah. But hey, that's me. I'm just, if I wanted American muscle cars, you'd see American muscle car. You'd see an American muscle car. You'd see an American muscle car. Now, I like American muscle cars. I've got friends that build them. I'm in awe of the work that they can do with them, all the horsepower, how it sounds, etc. I love that stuff. It's just not me. I'm obviously a Toyota guy. So, Toyota. It just makes sense, right? That's the way that I rock. Plus, you got to remember, with Toyota, you get that reliability. I'm sure you get that out of an LS, but I've also worked on Toyotas. So I understand Toyotas. I like Toyotas. That's why not an LS. I'm sure you could get more money right out the box with any LS motor. I'm sure of it. But at the same time, this is a daily driver for me, right? I don't need 500 horsepower in a daily driver. I've got this beautiful track car right here that's just going to fill me with all my joy on the weekends. This right here just needs to be an enjoyable car for me that I've put some time and effort in to make it reliable. It can transport a family safely, and it performs its goal, but at the same time will be a car that I enjoy, because obviously I enjoy crazy things. So I need something that's, somewhat crazy to go along with that, right? The compatibility. I don't have a lot of money for the projects that I do. The projects that I do are fueled from either selling things that I make, or selling things that come off of other things that I purchase to try to make more money for swaps. So with that being said, it was a lot easier to get a Toyota Lexus motor in a Toyota Lexus vehicle, and the cost effectiveness of that is definitely there. I can do a breakdown video in the future if you guys are interested, kind of showing the full costs and why I definitely think that is a reason to do this style of swap. I'm sure a 1UZ is even less expensive of a swap and more documented, especially if you're not worried about keeping E-shift and stuff like that, or even if you are keeping E-shift, it would be a lot easier than me having to get basically a complete 1UZ motor and swap those parts over to the 3UZ for simple E-shift. So, lastly, a little bit of availability. I started seeing 2JZ stuff going crazy, and I was like, it's like, do I really want to get into the 2JZ game? And now every single part starts going up, and up. All the OEM parts start being difficult to find, things of that nature, right? Whereas with these UZ motors, they're still super common. You can still find a whole bunch of them inside of junkyards, and you can still find people that have a bunch of them, and it's easy to buy spare parts for them. It's not getting crazy. Whereas the 2JZ, care to bet is getting like that, and is only going to get crazier. So, why did I go UZ? Because I wanted to. End result, right? I mean, and that's the way you should determine every build. What do you want? What do you want out of your car? I wanted a V8. I want naturally aspirated because I got a 4-cylinder. I've got turbo. I just wanted this to be a fun, kind of cool, unique build inside of its platform. Something that's a chill ride, a daily driver that's going to be fun for me. I'm still going to wide body it. I'm still doing crazy stuff to it, but that's just because I'm a weirdo, and that's what I do with my free time. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that there was some information, maybe good, pertaining to you if you're doing an IS300 swap, or really any swap where you might be, I don't know, thinking, UZ versus 1 or 2J or something like that. These UZ engines are great engines, and this thing is a beautiful looking motor. I mean, it really, really is. And they put out great power. And if you're going to supercharge this, awesome. If you're going to turbocharge this, amazing. If you're going to go NA, it's definitely going to take you some work. I mean, my long-term plans are ITBs and cams and pistons and all that great stuff. But at the same time, I think it's just a great motor as it is. And if you're not looking to do anything super crazy, or maybe you're in college and don't want to deal with turbo car problems, or maybe you're racing your IS300 and you don't want to have all the oiling stuff and all the problems that come with turbo vehicles, the UZ is a great swap for this platform and can be rather basic, especially with like a manual transmission and things like that. So again, maybe this is giving you something to think on, something to chew on about going with the UZ swap. Either way, I'm enjoying the process. I love my UZ motor. I think it's turning out awesome. I appreciate everyone that's been involved, but I'm so ready to get this bad boy in and get it onto the road. So until next time, I hope everybody gets out there, gets working on their project cars. Enjoy life. Look, if you hit your thumb with a hammer, if you slip and hit your arm somewhere, if a part breaks, if you break a screw, you break some sort of seated stud or something like that, it's not the end of the world. We're doing things that we love. There are people in places right now going through crazy times, doing crazy things, having crazy stuff go on around them. It's important to remember that, any time that you're in the garage is a good darn time. Even if their project car is going completely wrong, even if everything seems to be not going your way, it's a good day in the garage. It's a good day in the garage. So keep that positivity. Keep working hard, everybody. I hope everyone has a great day.